When I was 16 and hadn't had my driver's license very long, I was involved in a traffic accident that was my fault. I hurriedly pulled across 2 lanes of oncoming traffic at an intersection. I timed it wrong and caused another car to hit my car in the rear end. But fortunately, neither one of us was hurt. I want to make sure that something like that doesn't happen to you. Let's look first at making left turns at a controlled intersection, meaning an intersection where traffic is controlled by traffic lights or stop signs. When you approach any intersection, you need to look ahead and notice certain things. Check out the lanes. How many are there and what is each one used for? There are 3 lanes here. One is for left turns only, and the other 2 are for driving straight ahead or turning right. But notice that this intersection only has 2 lanes, left and right, so all left turns would have to be made from the left lane. As you approach, take note of the traffic lights that control the intersection. Where are they, and what are they currently showing? These lights are red, so only cross traffic is allowed to go right now, and I have to stop. And finally, keep in mind the laws that govern intersections, and look for any posted signs that state specific traffic laws or instructions, such as this one that says left turn yield on green, or any number of other signs that might be posted. Now, with all that in mind, let's go through how to safely make a left turn at this next intersection. I'm in the right lane, and I need to get over into the left lane so I'll be able to make a left turn up ahead at the intersection. But before I change lanes, I need to put on my left turn signal, and then check for any traffic around me that I could potentially interfere with by moving out of my lane. I do that by first checking my rearview mirror. Check to see if there are any vehicles close behind you that are already changing lanes and that you need to wait on to pass you. Then I check my left side mirror. Check to see if there is another vehicle already in the lane beside you or approaching quickly. And finally, I do a shoulder check by turning my head approximately 90 degrees to the left until my chin lines up with my shoulder so that I can look back into the blind spot area that my mirrors can't show me. If all is clear, then I go ahead and change lanes. And you should do these checks for other vehicles quickly so that your eyes can stay on the road and the traffic up ahead of you as much as possible. Be sure you do these checks for other vehicles before you make any lane change. Let's look at that one more time. Before you make a lane change, first check your rearview mirror, then your side mirror, and then check your vehicle's blind spot area. If all is clear, then I go ahead and change lanes. I'm approaching the intersection up ahead. As I get closer, I can see that there are 2 lanes going straight and a dedicated lane for making left turns only, which is where I need to go. I put on my left turn signal and then pull into the dedicated left turn lane as soon as possible. You can start to pull into that lane at the point where the road markings show that the turn lane starts. I'm in the dedicated left turn lane and I'm slowing down as I approach the intersection. The traffic light is red, so I'm going to come to a complete stop at the white line that's painted on the road just before the intersection. And my left turn signal is still on. But if there's no white line, you would stop just before the crosswalk. And if there's no white line or crosswalk, which would be unusual, stop at a point just before the edge of the intersection where you can clearly see the traffic coming from all directions. When you're stopped while waiting to make a left turn, make sure you stop with your front tires pointed straight ahead and not turn toward the left. If your tires are turned to the left and another vehicle would happen to hit you from behind while you're sitting there, you could possibly be pushed into oncoming traffic and maybe get T-boned to make things even worse. If your tires are pointed straight and you were hit, you'd be pushed forward and less likely to be involved in a more serious accident. The light changed to green with the green left turn arrow. When you get a green left turn arrow, that's called a protected left turn, because that means no other vehicles will be allowed to cross your path while that arrow is showing, therefore protecting you as you turn. I'm going to make my left turn, and since I'm turning onto a road that has 2 lanes, I pull into the lane nearest to me, the left lane. Then I put on my right turn signal, check my rear view and right side mirrors, shoulder check, and when it's safe to do so, I pull into the right lane and continue on. When you're pulling past the white stop line to begin your left turn, keep going straight ahead until the front of your vehicle reaches about the middle of the intersection, and then start turning the steering wheel to the left. And as you're turning, make sure you're looking directly at the lane you want to turn into. That's because normally you tend to steer towards what you're looking at. So if you keep looking at the lane you're wanting to be turning into, that'll keep you more on the correct path to it. By waiting to turn your steering wheel until roughly the center of the intersection, you'll end up making a turn that's more curved. And that'll cause you to enter the lane you're turning into more nearly straight on. Normally, right after you turn left into the left lane, you would move into the right lane as soon as possible. But there are times when you would have good reasons for not doing that. For example, I've just made a left turn again at the same intersection, and as I pull into the left lane, I see there's a pickup truck pulling a trailer in the right lane where I want to go. And the truck is slowing down, and even though the driver doesn't have a turn signal on, it looks like he's probably going to turn right. In this case, it's better not to pull in behind the trailer immediately and then have to slow down abruptly and maybe even stop. So I just stay in the left lane a little longer and then change lanes when it's safe to do so. Another situation where you wouldn't pull into the right lane would be when you make a left turn and then you plan on making another left turn very soon after that. It's safer overall to simply stay in the left lane and not to be switching to the right lane and back over to the left lane over such a short distance. Whenever you're approaching an intersection or you're about to make a turn or are near a crosswalk, scan the area for pedestrians or anyone on a bicycle, scooter, skateboard, etc. Always yield to pedestrians no matter where or how they are crossing the road. If a pedestrian is in your line of travel, you cannot proceed even if you have a green light. I have a green light here, and there is oncoming traffic, so I stop at the stop line. I can see that there's a break in traffic coming up ahead, so I'm going to pull ahead slightly over the stop line and into the edge of the intersection. In Illinois, where I live, and in most states, it is legal to pull into the intersection after first stopping to get into a better position to make a left turn. Specifically, the traffic law states, yield right away when making a left-hand turn into oncoming traffic. If you enter an intersection while the light is green, you may finish the turn even though the light turns red. So I'm going to pull forward slightly into the intersection to get in position to make my turn before the light changes to red. I'm yielding to oncoming traffic on a green light. There's my gap. As that last car is about to pass, I begin to move forward, and I go ahead and make my turn before the light changes to red. Along those same lines, you may be turning on a green arrow and then it turns yellow or flashes. Since you're already turning, don't worry, just complete your turn. But if you're approaching and haven't entered the intersection yet, and the green left turn arrow turns to yellow, stop at the line and don't proceed. It's safer to wait and then make your left turn after you yield on green. If you're in the left turn lane and there's already another vehicle in the intersection, don't pull out behind them. Stop at the line and stay there until that vehicle has cleared the intersection. If I pulled out and the light turned red, we'd probably end up blocking traffic coming across from the other direction when their light turned green. When you're turning across a moving line of vehicles, you need to learn to judge the speed of the traffic and how big a gap in the traffic you need to make the turn without endangering yourself or others. Being able to know when it's safe to turn takes practice, and how big a gap you need depends on what type of driver you are. Are you cautious or more aggressive? What you're driving, does it accelerate slowly or quickly, and the speed of the traffic. Because the faster the traffic is moving, the larger the distance in feet you need between vehicles to make your turn. To be safe and so you won't be rushed, a 6 to 8 second gap in traffic works well. We're going to look at some gaps here in the oncoming traffic. The vehicles on this road are moving at about 40 miles an hour, which is about 58.7 feet per second. So a 6-second gap would equal about 352 feet, and that's just short of the 360-foot length of a professional football field, including the end zones. 8 seconds would equal about 470 feet, so a little bit more of a safety cushion there. As I approach the intersection and stop, I look ahead for a gap in the oncoming traffic. I see a gap coming up. So when the rear of that first vehicle goes by me, I'm going to see how many seconds it is before the front of that next vehicle passes that same point. That time will be the duration of the gap. That first gap was 4.41 seconds. The next gap was only 3.68 seconds. But here's a big one coming up. That gap was 11.25 seconds. That was the one worth waiting for. Always wait to turn until you see a gap that you're comfortable with. If there are other drivers behind you also waiting to turn, don't let the thought of that pressure you into turning sooner than you feel it's safe to go. If you don't feel safe about it, then it's not safe for you to go. We've looked at some intersections with a single left turn lane, but here's one that has 2 of them. Lane 1 is strictly for left turns, and lane 2 is for left turns or for going straight ahead. It also has a 3rd lane for right turns only. I'm in lane 2, and being here will have me end up in the right lane of the road I'm turning onto. We have a green light and a green left turn arrow, so we can start our turn when traffic begins moving. With 2 lanes turning left at the same time, you have to be careful to stay in your designated lane as you turn. To help you, there's usually markings on the pavement that show you the curve of your lane. So in my case, I want to stay to the right of those markings. If there are no lane guides on the road, give the drivers in the other lane as much room as safely possible as you make your turn. I hope this helps somebody and maybe even will help prevent you from having an accident like I did. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and drive safe.